I want to ask you guys, when you're embarrassed on the job, can you share with us, please, just a moment in your professional lives where maybe something didn't go as well as you wanted, and that impacted your ability to connect with other people and build relationships? So who wants to kick us off with that?
I'll let y'all go.
I would say public speaking. So I had to give it was just like a speech. I just had to speak for an event, and it did not go well. You can hear the voice, the shakiness in my voice, and I think that kind of ties back into imposter syndrome. I think it's the anxiety that comes with oh gosh, am I saying things right? Are people judging me? What do I look like? Is my hair okay? So kind of taking that embarrassing moment and kind of okay, I'm kind of recognizing that there's a sort of imposter syndrome happening here. And so the kind of way that I kind of get through that is putting myself in more uncomfortable situations. So taking leadership positions, making myself get outside of my comfort zone. And I think that's where the real growth happens.
I was going to say, I think for me is that when you come into a big company like ours, there's so many acronyms. Coming in, I learned that a PM could mean 3 different things. So coming into that and just realizing that it's okay to say I don't understand something, right? Or I didn't get it, or can you clarify this for me? So I think that's a big, I wouldn't say embarrassing, but it was a pivotal moment for me in my career.
Do you think that's a problem for us as a culture even, to maybe be a little bit more reserved because we're scared about what people will think?
Absolutely, yeah. I think when you first join an organization, and I want to touch on the imposter syndrome that she mentioned, you just want to jump right in, make immediate impact. But when, like Willie said, when you come into a large organization, you really have to give yourself some grace. So imposter syndrome is real. It's a real thing. Because of that, because you want to make an impact, you're in all these meetings and everybody seems so smart and you can't really follow what's going on in the meeting, what they're talking about, what your role is, what you're supposed to be doing. But that was my whole first year at Microsoft, to be completely transparent. But I had a really supportive manager that, just said, take your time, take however much time you need, and just give yourself some grace just to get comfortable with everything. I was coming from oil and gas. I knew nothing about the software industry. I knew nothing about tech. So my learning curve was very, very steep. I had to ask those questions. A lot of times I didn't feel empowered to ask them during the meeting. So I'll ping the person after the meeting and say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I just want to get clarification and ask. Or I'll just record every meeting on Teams and then come back later to listen to it. Maybe I can comprehend it much better that way and take notes. So there's a lot of other things that you can do just to make sure that you're on point and you're learning and it doesn't seem so overwhelming. I definitely think that's a problem in our community, just being afraid to ask those questions because we feel like people are expecting so much of us right now, but it's okay. Questions are good, so we have to give ourselves that grace.
I think for me, because I came from education before coming to Microsoft, I was educated for 5 years, it was always fight or flight, right? So coming into a company to where I have to learn it's okay to slow down, and it's okay to give yourself grace and say, I don't know something, right? That caused a little bit of imposter syndrome for me when I first started because I was so used to either you know it or you don't. But I learned to really slow down and just give myself grace being here at Microsoft.
Sometimes you got to give yourself grace.
Yes.
And it's so easy to be hard on yourself.